Hi, I'm Joe Eliseon, and it is a cold and snowy February day here in New England, but I'm going to warm you up with another reading of an excerpt, the fifth excerpt, from my Snarkey and Putz Paranormal Attorneys at Law number 3, The Case of the Canine's Curse. In this excerpt, we join our hero, R. Andrew Putz, as he burns the midnight oil in his office, poring over law books and a plan map for his client Elliot Babington's mammoth proposed real estate development, Babington City. Let us join Mr. Putz. Here we go. It was night 4 months later. Putz had lived through so many public hearings and orders of taking that he'd lost count of them. Now he stared down at the open volume at his desk. The Annotated Laws of Massachusetts. Beneath it, covering the whole desk, lay the plan map of Babington City. Putz scanned the volume's statutory headings. Title 13, Eminent Domain and Betterments. Chapter 79, Eminent Domain. He turned the page to Section 2, Officials Authorized to Exercise Eminent Domain. The typeface was small. So small, Putz could hardly see it. He switched on his desk lamp, stuck his nose into the book, and read through the section several times. Where no other provision is made by law, a taking of land by eminent domain, by or on behalf of the Commonwealth, shall be made by the governor and council. A taking by or on behalf of a county by the county commissioners of such county. A taking by or on behalf of a city by the aldermen. A taking by or on behalf of a town by the selectmen. A taking by or on behalf of a district by its prudential committee, and a taking by or on behalf of a private corporation by its board of directors. So many, Putz muttered to himself. Governor and council, county commissioners, aldermen, selectmen, prudential committee, board of directors. And his overwrought mind planted one more tail on the eminent domain donkey. Elliot Babington. Putz retched over the plan map. What a can of worms. He didn't like plans. Nothing terrified him like a man with a plan. Putz liked ideas. Men with ideas talked about what they wanted to do themselves. Ideas, even big ones, always started out small, like puppies. You couldn't be afraid of a puppy. By the time it got big, you were used to it. But men with plans, they always wanted you to do something. Worse, plans always started big and got bigger. There was no getting away from them. You had to fit into them. Putz hated plans. Elliot Babington was a man with a plan 3 sizes too big for Putz. But nothing was ever too big for Snarkey. Putz wanted to go slow, but Snarkey went at it hell-bent for leather. He figured a tidal wave of work was coming their way. To handle it, he hired a receptionist, a secretary, and 3 paralegals they couldn't afford. He didn't so much as warn Putz. Putz worried that work was like the tide. It comes in, sometimes it floods, but then it always goes out. Putz worried about the quality of their work, too. At first, he'd read every piece of paper that went out of the office himself. But as the pace of taking sped up, Putz couldn't keep track of everything. He had to rely on the paralegals to do things right. Putz couldn't know the metes and bounds of every single parcel of property they grabbed. That's how every big real estate worked. Big real estate practice worked. It was the price of success. You lost some control, but you made more money. Much more money. Enough money to sign Cindy up for a ritzy combination cloud computing weight loss summer program at Camp Wispy Clouds. He hoped the girl liked it, but even if she didn't, at least Maureen couldn't say he didn't care. Putz hung his head over the map. He should be happy, but he wasn't. Something was wrong with the whole thing. If only it wasn't legal. But it was. Elliot Babington could take a bigger chunk of the city than Edward Logue did when he tore down Boston's West End neighborhood in the 1950s, and it was all painfully legal. It was better than legal. The Kelo Court said it was constitutional. If a majority of the Supreme Court said it passed muster under the highest law of the land, who was Putz to argue? "You're no one," a voice whispered from the darkness. "It's legal. Shut up and take the money." Putz jumped. Was it his imagination? Was it the professor? No, it wasn't the prof's voice. Putz hadn't heard from the spirit since that evening at the castle. Putz called out to him every night, but he got nothing back. Something was wrong. The phone buzzed in his pocket. Putz answered. "Yeah, Maury?" "Andy," his wife complained over the clamor of yapping and barking. "Where are you?" "I'm in the office." Putz winced. "What's all the noise?" Maureen shouted. "Cindy and I just introduced her new dog to Jake." Putz blocked his exposed ear with his free hand. "You finally got her that dog?" "It took time, Andy. I had to do my research," Maureen shouted again. "I had to get her the right dog, the dog that fit her specific psychological profile." "What kind of a dog is it?" "What?" "What breed?" Putz called out. "West Highland Terrier," Maureen called back. "What did it cost?" "I can't hear you, Andy." "What did it cost?" Putz yelled louder. "It's a purebred," Maureen evaded at volume. "What did it cost?" Putz shrieked. "It has a pedigree," Maureen declared. "It's registered." Putz groaned. But what the hell? Whatever it cost, he could afford it. He pressed the cell phone against his ear, trying to squeeze out the barks and yelps, and voiced his real concern. "How's Jake taking it?" "What?" Maureen shouted the question. "How's Jake getting along with what's-its-name?" Putz shouted back. "What?" Maureen returned shouted. "I said," Putz yelled, "what's its name? What is its name?" "Its name?" Maureen shrilled back. Her voice stung Putz. He moved the phone away from his ear. "Yes," he asked again at the top of his lungs. "What's its name?" Putz heard a door slam. "Okay," Maureen panted. "I'm in the closet. You can't hear yourself think out there." She panted again. "The animals need to adjust to each another." Putz tried one more time. "What's the new dog's name, Maury?" Maureen held her breath. "Maureen?" "Yes, Andy?" "What's the doggone animal's name?" "Cindy," Maureen sighed as she brushed the arm of an overcoat away from her face. "She doesn't want to name the dog until you get home. Where are you, Andy?" "I told you," Putz repeated himself. "I'm in the office. I'm working." "Why won't she name the dog?" "Because," Maureen's voice came through muffled by a falling windbreaker, "a girl needs her father, Andy. You should be here." "I thought you wanted me to let her name the dog." "Go ahead, Andy," Maureen sniffled. "Blame me for this. It's all my fault." "No, no," Putz backed down to reassure her. "I'll talk to her. Let me talk to her." "You can't." Maureen choked on a down jacket. "She's upstairs in her room, crying." "Great," Putz muttered, more to himself than to the phone. He heard a thud, maybe the sound of something crashing outside the closet. "I've got to go," Maureen declared. "They're tearing the place apart out there. Get home as soon as you can." "Okay," Putz said, into the dead air. He pressed the red phone button. Instantly, the phone buzzed again. The letters across the screen announced, "May Menninger." Putz listened to the phone buzz 2 more times. What would happen if he didn't answer a call from his original paranormal client? Too much of a risk, he decided. He pressed the green button. "Miss May, it's been a long time. How are you?" Putz could hear the woman breathing. May Menninger, the most delicate, the most fragile of the 3 Menninger sisters, answered in her most delicate, most fragile tone. "Not well, Mr. Putz." Putz didn't need to feign concern. May was his favorite Menninger. "Miss May, what's wrong?" He strained his ear against the receiver to hear the little old lady's voice. "I just got off the phone with April, Mr. Putz. I wasn't going to call you. I know it's after business hours, and I know how hard you work and how you need your rest, but June said I should call you immediately before things got any worse." "What is it, Miss May?" Putz asked as gently as he could. "What could get worse?" "It's the paper April received. She's furious, Mr. Putz. Absolutely furious." April, May, June. All the Menninger sisters present and accounted for, Putz thought. Putting one hand to his forehead, he shifted around in his chair and cradled the cell phone to his ear. "What paper, Miss May? What's April furious about?" Putz could feel May Menninger's silence press against his ear. The woman finally cleared her throat with the sound of a pigeon ruffling its wings. "Have you been practicing your spiritual circles, Mr. Putz?" "My spiritual circles?" "Yes," May Menninger affirmed, "for protection. April is quite angry." "Angry?" Putz gulped. "Over what?" "The papers." "What papers?" "Legal papers, Mr. Putz," May whispered, as if the word were an obscenity. "Someone served her with legal papers. I think it's a forgery, Mr. Putz. Whoever did it had the nerve to sign your name." What did April receive? What did Putz sign? Well, to find out, you'll just have to buy and read Snarkey and Putz, The Case of the Canine's Curse. Aren't I a stinker? Well, if you'd like to buy The Canine's Curse, the link is below. If you'd like to visit my website, go to my Amazon author page. By the way, there'll be some new announcements. I'm coming out with a new book very shortly. It's entitled Mr. Lake. And the news will be on my website. The news will be on my Amazon author page, so look in on them. If you'd like to see any of my other books, all those links are below. And if you'd like to hear me reading another excerpt from another one of my works, or from another Snarkey and Putz, then you can always follow one of the links to either side of my head. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope to see you again real soon.